Welcome to Comics Bazaar, the channel of comics commentary and arcana. This video features Daredevil number 230, cover dated May 1986. The cover caption, Born Again, that gives us the title of the story arc. We've reached that point now after Apocalypse, Purgatory and Pariah. So there's going to be a turnaround in Matt Murdock's fortunes here. Love the design of this particular cover by David Mazzucchelli, featuring simply Daredevil's silhouette shadowing Ben Urich there, and you can see from his body language just how broken he is. Love the little details of the cigarette in the ashtray, the phone that's off the hook, the scrunched up balls of typewriter paper there around the waste paper basket. It's really well done. Like the fact that Mazzucchelli and editorial are confident enough not to have a full figure of Daredevil on this cover, and instead we have a nun. And in this particular story there will be some questions asked about her identity, and a pretty interesting conclusion regarding that at the end of the issue. So let's open this one up to the first page. It's an interesting opening with these thin horizontal panels, a heartbeat there delineated. We have a voiceover, no heartbeat, he's gone. A protest, no he can't die. And then first person narration, and it's Matt Murdock's I Had an Awful Dream. And we see his point of view on his tattered and torn Daredevil costume. Everybody hated me. Everybody took everything away from me. No, the Kingpin, he's the only one. The Kingpin of crime. He found out my secret identity and it wasn't a dream. So we get that point of view of Matt looking up as the Kingpin is punching him out. Then Santa Claus stabbed me with a knife, and no, it was Turk, small-time hood. He was dressed like Santa. Small-time hood works for the Kingpin. Not a dream. And then the heartbeat is flat, and then it starts beating again. He's alive. So a great opening there, as Matt was, so to speak, going towards the light, about to die, and flashing back on events of recent days. His downfall. Let's turn the page. We get a nice splash here, and our title from the cover caption, Born Again, and Mother Maggie there sitting at his bedside. Praise God, he's alive, she exclaims. And look at the design of this. We've had the motif of every single issue thus far with Matt Murdock in bed, and this one he is bandaged at his ribs and chest. We've got the crucifix on the wall there, but the white of the wall and the white of his bed also delineates another cross form as well. And yeah, here's our creative team behind this, like one of comics' best productions. Frank Miller, script, David Mazzucchelli, art, Max Shield, sometimes known as Christy Shield on the colours, and Joe Rosen rounding out the creative team on the letters. So that's quite the opening. And then the scene switches. We've got counter-pointed scenes with Karen Page, first of all, and then the Kingpin, and both of them obsessing over Matt Murdock. So here in the margin, we get Karen's first-person narration. Well, actually, it's not a first-person narration. It's more like free and direct discourse, where we're getting her point of view in the prose. So the breeze is cool, she's in America. Karen Page allows herself to hope. Not too often she whispers the name, quietly facing away from her companion, the name that means hope. Matt, she betrayed him, sold his deepest secret for a fix, told a man that Matt is Daredevil, and the man told other men. And the other men are trying to kill Karen Page, but she'll make it to New York. She'll find Matt before the killers find her. Matt will save her. He has to. And it's interesting to see the way that Mazzucchelli is rendering this jungle here, using some screen tone as well. And you can see with the close-up on Karen's face and the emotion in her eyes there, feeling that hope that she can be reunited with Matt and that he will help her, that he's overlaid screen tone on top of screen tone for the shadowing here from the canopy of the trees in the jungle. Really well done. And then the scene switches to Kingpin in his gym. Too often he thinks the name Murdock. He's the Kingpin. He's the Lord of Crime. He destroyed Matt Murdock, robbed him of his career, his home, of everything that constituted his life. But Murdock is alive somewhere. Murdock is alive. So we've got Mother Maggie, who's brought Matt back from the dead, at least to this point. And then we have Matt's betrayer here, and then Matt's enemy here on this page. Really, really well done. Let's continue with the story. So we switch to Foggy Nelson, and we can see accepted and agreed on this, the 2nd. It's got to be the 2nd of January. And Foggy's taken a job, but we don't know who with yet, but we suspect it may be for the Kingpin ultimately. Not that Foggy knows that. So now he is seeing Matt's ex-girlfriend, Gloriana O'Brien, and she's a big supporter of Foggy. She's good for him and he's good for her. And but both of them know how long Matt has been missing. 11 days. And 6 hours, says Glory. So we're still in the Christmas period here. This is, Born Again is a Christmas story. I don't think of his name. This is Ben Urich on the ground. Great top-down shot. Nick Manoli being pulled away by the medics there. He had a lot of his bones broken by the big nurse that works for the Kingpin. That was all in the previous issue. So Ben is being helped up by one of the emergency workers. My name is Ben Urich. I'm a reporter. I don't even think of his name. So he was told not to tell the story of Matt Murdock being framed, and he has been frightened to the point of not even thinking Matt's name. So what about Matt? Where is he now? This is another great page here. We're into his first person narration. When I was a whole lot younger, I was struck across the eyes and blinded by a piece of radioactive garbage. Don't ask me to explain why, but I can smell and hear and taste better than anybody. That's all there is to learn about Matt Murdock. Everything else in my life is gone, except the lesson I learned from my father. Never give up, never. And I love the way that he opens his eyes and Mazzucchelli moves our point of view, the camera, so to speak, right in on those eyes, and we can see the determination there, even as he's on his sick bed. Love the colouring choice from Christy Shield as well, these blues for recovery. And then this is a great shot of Penn Station in Manhattan, and here we have our eye drawn to, again by the colour choices, Karen Page and Paolo, the criminal that she shacked up with in order to get her ride to New York City. For most people, New York is the Empire State Building and the Statue of Liberty. For Karen Page, it's Penn Station, where she first stepped off the train from New England. That must be why she asked Paolo to drop her off here. So I wonder, is this Frank Miller establishing from the first time that Karen Page is from that part of the country? Or was it already established in the continuity? I don't know, but it's an interesting idea of his here. She paid her way exactly the way he wanted her to. She owes him nothing. She wants to get rid of him. Sure, he's got the junk as much as she wants, but there's only one man she wants to be with now. She'll even quit the junk. She swears she will. So she says goodbye to Paolo with a kiss as final payment. It's the long kind of kiss, the kind she learned making movies for people like Paolo. She's a pro about it, and I love this bit at the end. It isn't enough for him. So she's not going to get away from him so easily. But look at the change. There's a change happening in Mazzucchelli's style here. It's becoming more abstract, less in the way of fine line delineation. His kind of rough and loose rendering of the other people in the scene is a testament to the fact that he's gaining confidence in respect of deviating from photorealism or anything like it, moving into abstract representation. We'll see that most especially with his rendering of Ben Urich in this story. So then we see the Kingpin in his dojo after his workout. He's defeated all of the men who were told and instructed to attack him. He's such a beast. And then he turns to his personal assistant, Wesley. Locate Nuke, Wesley, he says. laconically. And Wesley's aghast. Nuke, boss, you're not serious. Please to tell me you're not serious. Nobody's ever used him on a domestic job. And you can just see the rage on Kingpin's face. He is absolutely enraged by Murdock and the fact that Murdock is out there somewhere and has evaded the Kingpin's death trap. That is a fantastic expression on his face. Love the inking here as well, the delineation of the beads of sweat on his flesh. I did not invite debate, he says. And you know Wesley's got nothing that he's going to say in response to that. He's only going to go away and set the ball in motion in terms of locating Nuke. We'll find out all about him in subsequent issues. Love this establishing shot of the bay windows there of this apartment building that Ben Urich and his wife live in. And she's there and she's really worried about it. You can see that her hand is up to her face with concern and worry. They'll kill you. Do you know that? They'll kill you and you'll die for it. And Ben says very quietly, don't say the name. Don't even think of the name. It's so very important that we don't even think of the name. And look at the beads of sweat on his face as well. But look at the style that Mazzucchelli has arrived at for Urich. These straight lines, really giving an implication of how boxed in he is by the threats that have been levied against him in respect of pursuing that story. And the style here that Mazzucchelli has come up with reminds me of the artist, the turn of the 20th century artist, Egon Schiele. That's who I'm reminded of. And now we see Matt. We see the beard growing on his face as well. Really love the colouring here. The use of the screen tone as well for the shadow. And as he's resting, recuperating, convalescing, he uses his senses to locate where he is. They've done some work on me, he thinks. The broken rib is back where it belongs. I'm not bleeding. I'm one big bruise. Best not to pay attention to how I feel. The more I focus outside myself, that stench, even his sweat smells like cheap wine. I can taste his hangover with him. Can't stand it. Move further out. Sounds are muffled by the snow. The gulls, they only sound like that in the morning, complaining. Like the whole city's complaining. I'm still in Manhattan. Narrow it down. Even past Brother Gallo next to me, so the wino. I can smell the neighbourhood. Rats and concrete dust. Hell's Kitchen, I grew up here. But what kind of place am I in? And then the bells start ringing. Whoa, that takes him by surprise. Love the layouts here. Full horizontal page layouts. Love the pull back on the tip of Manhattan there. And then this scene from one of the avenues with all of the yellow cabs, the traffic jam, the morning traffic jam. Then the zoom in on Hell's Kitchen in midwinter. And then the pealing of the bells. Such a great page, great scene. And let's continue and see where it goes. Subsequently, we get an exterior shot. Church bells. I'm in a church. Must be in the basement. A mission. Just me and the winos. Got to get away from these smells. So he sits up there. Okay, who took the muscles out of my legs? So he's completely weak. And somebody off panel says, you idiot. And look at the popped eye. He recognizes the voice. We know that. And the woman lifts him back into bed. Love the way that Mazzucchelli is using drapery here, and also Murdock's slumped what would I say, like he's got no tension in his body, he's got no energy, so the body's just hanging there as the nun, Maggie, lifts him up and puts him back into bed. My name is Maggie, you're staying here, she says to him. Really great stuff. Fantastic work here on this page by Mazzucchelli. So very good. Just tremendous stuff. And then we pick up with Karen. And she's on the phone while Paolo's out asleep. And you can see what kind of guy he is. There's the whiskey there, the gun, the pills, the pill bottle. And Karen's there on the phone to the home number for Franklin Nelson. She gets Mrs. Nelson on the line, and it's a surprise to her that Foggy got married, and then she learns that Foggy's actually separated, and she's asking there for a forwarding number. And then when she gets it, look at the tear in her eye of just relief. Thank you, ma'am, thank you, she says. And then she's on the phone to Foggy. So well handled, this whole scene. And Foggy there sitting in his socks with his briefcase open. Karen Page. Golly, you're the last person I expected to hear from. How's it going? He's so oblivious. Matt's come on hard times, Karen, he says. It's a long story. No, I'm sorry, I don't know where he is. Love the implication of what Karen must be saying on the other end of the phone line as well. Love to see you, Karen, he says as he looks at his wristwatch. How long are you in town? You mean right now? Gee, Karen, I'm kind of tied up. Well, sure. If it's important. Where? Boy, that's a rough part of town. Are you sure? Sure, Karen, for old time's sake, like I say. And then he puts the phone down, puts the receiver down, and he thinks, old times, geez, it wasn't so long ago. Love this scene. Superb. And then this is another fantastic scene. Everything in this comic is just great. So we've got our establishing shot of the Daily Bugle. Maybe it's the evening. No, must be still the morning time, or is it the evening time? Not sure. But I love the colorings, the color here, the magenta, the red, and then the use of the shadows cast by the Venetian blinds, the slats of the Venetian blinds here, delineating the forms of J. Jonah Jameson. And who's this ghost of a figure, slumped, seated, holding his hand in a cast? It's Ben Urich. So we saw a scene in the previous issue where Ben threatened to quit if he wasn't allowed to pursue the story on Matt Murdock being framed. And now J. Jonah Jameson is angry. Listen, Urich, there are things you just don't let happen in this racket. Number one is you never get scared away from a story, he tells him. Not while you've got the most powerful weapon in the world on your side. This is 5 million readers worth of power. I can depose mayors, he says. It can destroy presidents. And it's been due to get aimed at the Kingpin for years. But it needs you to do it. And Urich's got nothing to say. He's just looking away meekly. And then J. Jonah, he's so disgusted. He turns around, turns his back to him. You're lucky I don't fire you. Get out of my office. He doesn't even raise his voice. No exclamation points. You can see Urich is a broken man, and even the cleaner out there is in the employ of the Kingpin, keeping an eye on Urich. That's a good boy, Urich, he says. You stay a good boy. You remember the Kingpin's watching. You remember you got 5 more fingers. As we see him closing the door with his good hand now. It's so well judged, this whole scene. Great combination of the art and the dialogue. And now Matt, it's not so easy for him to recover from everything that's happened to him. She's with me when the fever hits. I'm boiling alive, but for the cool, soft cloth. And then he catches hold of the gold cross hanging from her neck. And will he remember it from his childhood? Running out on me, that's Paolo. He's up out of bed. And look at that. A right hook to Karen's face. This guy's a violent man. She says that she's just seeing a friend. I love the body language here, the acting in the figure work by Mazzucchelli. You can see that like she is no match at all for this guy whatsoever. So he pulls a knife as well, puts it up to her neck. You go see your friend, he says, but you come back or I'll find you, Karen Page. And look at the close-up on his face. You're mine now. So possessive, violent, jealous. She's got a big problem having hooked up with this guy and trying to get away from him. And now comes another fantastic sequence. So we've got an establishing shot there of the interior office of the Daily Bugle. And we've got a lot of stuff going on around Ben. So I'm not going to concentrate on it all. I'm not going to go through everything that's happening. But Miller and Mazzucchelli have a number of different interactions going on around Ben. And he picks up the phone, the deadline for the morning edition. So it is the morning time. The deadline for the morning edition is always a good time at the New York Daily Bugle. I get a phone call. Actually, no, sorry. This could be a different day. Yeah, because it seems time has passed from this to this. But this is the morning time here. Great sequence on these pages. So Ben putting a finger in his ear. Could you speak up? I can't hear. Meanwhile, his editor and the city editor are arguing his editor is arguing about Ben not being able to do a simple puff piece. He spent 3 hours at it. He's only done one paragraph, and it's due in 3 minutes' time. There's all kinds of comic stuff going on in the background with this woman looking for the copy boy. It's really good stuff. But in the hospital, you've got Nick Manoli, Lieutenant Nick Manoli, and now he's ready to give with his story, as he says. So Ben says, "I'm sorry, Lieutenant, I'm busy," because he doesn't want to do the story anymore, of course. Manoli says, "I don't think you heard me, Yorick. I want to tell you how I helped the Kingpin frame Matt Murdock, but who's this shadow in the lighted doorway?" So there's more arguing around Ben. I love the way that Robertson here simply says, without any exclamation, "You'd better get off the phone, Ben." And Ben's not listening. "I don't know anybody by that name, Lieutenant," he says. The big nurse comes into the room. "Get off the phone, Ben," says Robbie to him. "Lieutenant." And now we have these silent panels. Pretty much, as the nurse says, "My employer would like you to hear this, Mr. York." So this is an interesting choice. We get no melodramatic sound effects here, but we have the implication of Manoli being throttled, being strangled here, with the receiver listening or picking up on the sounds. And you can see Ben goes silent. And this is a great thing that we're getting from Mazzucchelli, as the rendering of his face, it's like more naturalistic there, and then it'll become more and more abstract as the scene progresses. See it there? Also see the coloring, the abstract coloring, like we're going with this light red into this dark red, his eyes yellow. We're leaving naturalism into expressionism. And the scene is going, all the voices going on around him as Manoli there is being throttled. And then at the end, when he's gone, the nurse says, "I thank you for listening, Mr. York." But we'll get his perspective on everything that happened subsequently in the issue. Meanwhile, Matt, he's still sweating there from the fever. "When I first got my powers," he thinks to himself, "I lived through a night of utter agony. My senses were wild, everything hurt me, every sound and smell. A woman came to me with words of hope. She never told me who she was. She wore a gold cross. I touched it. My fingers never forgot it. It's this cross. And she's put it around his neck for protection. Who could love me so much," he thinks, "and stay away so long? Who are you, Maggie?" So the reader is beginning to conjecture for themselves as well in terms of who she might be. And you can see the cross is indeed gone from around her neck, as it's on Matt instead. And one of her fellow nuns says to her, "Still the fever climbs, sister. It will break. It will. She has faith that it will break." And now we get Foggy's meeting with Karen in whatever rough part of town it is. And he's pretending there. You look good, Karen." He's lying, doing that thing that most people do, not drawing attention to the obvious thing that's wrong. And then he asks her, "How are things?" And look, this is great character detail for Foggy. He's got himself like a milkshake or an ice cream sundae or something like that. And then we've the Kingpin out on the balcony at some kind of formal function, but his whole thought is on his scheme to take down Matt Murdock. Nuke is in Nicaragua, he thinks to himself. It has taken days to find this out. Days of reaching further and further out to the branches of the organization, the legitimate corporations, the military offices, feeding the vices of respectable businessmen, even a general. A general in my pocket, the thought dances briefly through the Kingpin's mind. That is a branch to be nurtured. It will take days more to enlist Nuke. The man's willfulness must be overcome, as must his self-deception of patriotism. These days must not be wasted. This is really mature comic storytelling from Miller and Mazzucchelli. It's so excellent, so great. And only 25 years after the creation of the Marvel Universe. So the Kingpin sipping his champagne, and he gets another inspiration to take that small shred of Murdock that he still owns, to flail him with it. The crime lord summons a man who specializes in psychotics and always offers an excellent selection. So Kingpin is scheming away, and now we have Yorick flashing back, traumatized on what he heard over the phone and imagining it too. I swear it took forever. He's not even listening to Robbie. When Robbie says to him, I've spoken with your doctor, Ben. He says that bandage was supposed to come off yesterday. I want you to take a few days off. This is the number of a psychiatrist. It's so well done. Look at how boxy and narrow his face is. He's squashed, he's squeezed. He is not his old self at all. Love the implication of the kind of like the griminess of this saloon or tavern that they are. And again, the choice just to pick out Karen and Foggy with the colours. And he's there insisting, no, I mean it, you look great, but he's lying. And then we're back. I love the way that Miller and Mazzucchelli are handling multiple scenes. The implication that this is all happening at the same time. Nick gurgled like a clogged drain somewhere in the middle of it. He caught a single raspy breath, thinks Ben to himself. And he's in an elevator. No smoking in the elevator. Man says, is it a man or a woman there with a boy? It could be one or other. Probably a man though. One breath and it was so very desperate. And finally the rattle. But inset into this, we have Maggie there keeping watch over Matt as he is being burnt up by the fever. Temperature must be around 103 now. That's what you get for swimming in the East River, sleeping in the street. Pneumonia. Stupid way to die. And then finally Foggy just asks, and Karen said nothing the whole time. Karen, what happened? I thought you'd never ask, Foggy. Love the way it's handled. Love the way that the timelines are handled here. The implication that it's all happening at the same time. Yorick in the elevator, Matt with the fever, and Foggy meeting Karen. And also with the whole page kind of begun with the nurse there throttling Nick and then losing power as he dies, and you can see the look of determination on her face there, and then the smile emerging as Nick loses strength and she begins to kill him. It took forever too. So now Yorick is out on the street. Love the implication of this snowy mid-January scene as well. And then we're in the booth with Karen and Foggy, and she tells him what's happened. I suppose you know about? No, you wouldn't have seen my movies. Let's just say that I've messed up my life about as badly as I could. And then she just comes out with it. I'm a junkie and I've got to find Matt or I'll be murdered. And you can see how shocked Foggy is there. It's so well done by Mazzucchelli. And then we see the bruises on her face as well. What happened to your mouth, Karen? So Foggy was ignoring that. You know, you look great. And now he's addressing that she didn't look great. That's Paolo, she says. The man I'm with, he's pretty awful. So Foggy now gets some energy into himself. I'd like to get my hands on that rat, but Karen insists, don't. Just don't, Foggy. I just need you to know where Matt is. I can't tell you why, but he's the only man who can save you, because she knows he's Daredevil. That's the secret identity. She sold it out in the first issue of this storyline, but Foggy doesn't know and has never known. Matt's disappeared, Karen. A lot has happened, he says. Our law firm went out of business. Matt's been acting crazy for some time now when he was charged with criminal misconduct. So this is not what she wants to hear. He continues with the details. His house blew up and Matt vanished. And in her despair and in her sorrow, Karen blurts out, it's all my fault. And Foggy's no fool. He tunes into that and he says to her, tell me what you mean by that, Karen. And then she covers by saying nothing, just talking like a junkie, doesn't mean anything. Look, I better go. So she gets up from the table. Love the way that he grabs her by the wrist there. And he says to her, you're coming home with me, Karen. So she demurs and she says, no, Foggy, you're sweet, but no, Paolo he'll kill you. He'll kill both of us. And Foggy's got some courage. He says, I won't take no for an answer, Karen. You and me, we're family. Matt's family. And I love the decision there, just to have a silent panel and another one here. And again, that choice again, Like the crowd is so much looser in the way that it's being rendered and delineated, and then just Matt and Karen there with the colours draws our attention. Also love the way that Mazzucchelli indicates denim as well, just that those thin hatching lines. It's really well done. And now Matt, how's he getting on with that fever? Well, Mother Maggie's kneeling down by his bedside and praying. The fever grows in him. No earthly force can stop it. He's lost too much blood. His body cannot fight. He will die, but he's so very much to do, my lord. So she's praying. His soul is troubled, but it is a good man's soul, my lord. He needs only to be shown your way. Then he will rise as your own and bring a light to this poisoned city. He will be as a spear of lightning in your hand, my lord. If I'm to be punished for past sins, so be it. That's intriguing. What does she mean? If I'm to be cast into hell, so be it. But spare him, so many need him. Hear my plea, she prays. And again, we have an inset panel with Yorick remembering back to the phone call. I thank you for listening, Mr. Yorick, with the red and magenta. He's on a park bench in the snow. Don't even think what's he going to do? Turn the page. Silent panels. Sitting there. He's deliberating, and he pulls off the cast and says the name, Matt Murdock. And then downtown, a little inset scene at Melvin Potter's costumes. So we haven't seen the Gladiator for some time. Actually, no, he had showed up a few issues ago. But in any case, Melvin Potter, he is paid a visit by the Kingpin's men. And what do they want from him? They want a costume. And if he doesn't create the costume for them, should you perchance fail to render unto us a perfect duplicate of the uniform of a certain man without fear, his body parts will be removed. So then, we're moving into the final page. Love this establishing shot. We've already seen the church mission from the outside, but look how abstract and how thick is the painted line work here from Mazzucchelli. It looks fantastic. A heartbeat can tell you a lot. This is Matt's first person narration. Mine, for instance, has slowed down considerably in the past few hours. Turn the page. Ever since the fever broke, it's a pleasure just to sit and listen to it. So he's sitting up, and the nuns are working around him with the other patients in the mission basement. And the nun with the glasses says, God has been merciful to that boy. God is just, sister, says Maggie. She comes over and asks Matt, are you hungry? Not yet, he says, but I will be, thanks to you. And here in his thoughts, he's thinking, Maggie's heart is just to my right. It's in great shape. She's got a lot of years left, and the tension has gone out of her sweat. She carries the same scent she brought to my hospital room years ago. It's a pleasant scent, so much like my own. What is being implied about their relationship. Give your thanks to the Lord, she says to him. Maggie, he addresses her, and then he asks the question that readers have been construing and conjecturing as the issue has worked up to this point. Are you my mother, he asks. She just laughs. Of course not, child. A heartbeat can tell you a lot. Hers just jumped. She's lying. So, Frank Miller showing us Matt Murdock's mother. Always we thought she was dead, and she's alive, and she's a nun, and what are the sins of her past? This is really intriguing stuff from Miller. So excellent. And here in the one page of letters, we've got a couple of letters about issue 225, and then about issue 226, Frank Miller's first, before the Born Again storyline. And we've got the statement of ownership there. A little hard to read because of the poor printing, but the print run of Daredevil in the previous 12 months is around 300,000 copies. But it's going to go up for the next statement of ownership, I'm quite sure, because of this particular storyline and Frank Miller's return to the title. So just really excellent work here by Miller and Mazzucchelli on this issue. Interesting to see Mazzucchelli developing a more abstract expressionist style in this issue, moving away from the naturalism that he had developed prior to this, and moving into a different style, which he would continue with in his subsequent comics work after leaving Marvel. Just a great issue, another great issue. You know by now, if you've listened to my reviews or watched my reviews of this particular storyline, I think it's one of the best storylines and comics that there ever has been. So let me know your thoughts on this in the comments section. If you enjoyed my review and commentary, please like and share the video. It really does help the channel. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more content like this.